Welcome to another deep dive. We get right to the point here. Take a bunch of info, boil it down, you get the key takeaways without having to do all the research. Makes sense,
That
right?
makes total sense. Saves a ton of time, and who doesn't want that?
Exactly. And today, well, let's just say it's going to be a fascinating journey. We're going to connect some ideas that, at first glance, seem totally unrelated.
Yeah, the stuff you sent over, alchemy, quantum reality, even spirituality and well-being, that's quite the mix.
It is. And we're going to weave in some other ideas too. Consciousness, creativity, community, personal growth, all connected somehow.
I'm intrigued already. You mentioned sources.
Right. We have this essay, really lays out how all these concepts could be linked. And then we've got these transcripts from this YouTube channel, Carnage 1nOnly. They cover a whole bunch of different, well, let's just say thought-provoking topics.
Okay, so where do we even begin with all of this?
Well, get this. We might find some surprising connections. I'm talking ancient wisdom lining up with modern physics and the power of our minds, both individually and collectively, to actually shape the reality we experience. Pretty wild stuff.
Okay, so I'm ready to dive in. Lead the way.
All right, let's start with this essay, Alchemy, Healing, Quantum Reality. There's this core idea that our well-being, and that means physical, mental, and spiritual, is connected to, get this, the basic chemical and energetic makeup of reality.
Whoa, okay, hold on. How does that even work? You're saying our bodies and minds are like in tune with the universe on a fundamental level.
That's what this essay is suggesting. And what's really cool is how it brings together these ancient traditions with ideas from quantum physics. Like for centuries, people have talked about this underlying energy that connects everything. And now, physics is starting to explore how matter and energy are interconnected, like at the smallest level imaginable.
So you're saying that those alchemists back in the day, with their experiments and stuff, they were onto something.
Maybe they were tapping into something fundamental that science is now rediscovering in a different language. And this idea really resonates with some of the stuff we find in those Carnage 1nOnly videos.
Oh yeah, those were interesting, especially that one about the self and reality being intertwined.
Exactly. That video throws a bunch of philosophical viewpoints at you. Eastern philosophies like Buddhism, Taoism, the idea that the self and the universe aren't actually separate things.
Non-duality, right. I've heard that term thrown around.
That's it. And then it brings in Western thought, too, like Spinoza's monism, which basically says the lines we draw between ourselves and the rest of reality might just be made up.
So what we think of as objective reality might not be so objective after all.
Well, the video goes even deeper into phenomenology, this idea that how we perceive the world actually shapes the reality we experience.
Wait, so you're saying our individual perceptions have that much influence?
It's a mind-blowing concept, right? And it makes you wonder, what about the things we experience collectively? And that's where Carl Jung's idea of the collective unconscious comes into play.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that, like a shared pool of universal experiences and instincts.
Exactly. It's like we all tap into this deep well of unconscious knowledge, and it influences how we see and interact with the world. And that essay you mentioned, it takes this idea even further with eco-psychology.
Eco-psychology, like how our minds are connected to the environment.
Exactly. It blurs the lines between our inner world and the natural world around us. So our well-being is not just about what's going on inside us, but also about our connection to the larger ecosystem.
Okay, so everything's connected. Got it. So where do we go from here?
Well, let's talk about consciousness and potential, this reality consciousness. Source talks about this inner essence or heavenly dew as a metaphor for, get this, spiritual enlightenment.
Heavenly dew, that's an interesting image.
Right. It suggests that we all have this potential for awakening within us, a divine spark, the source calls it, like a golden one, symbolizing that awakened wisdom we all have inside.
It's like this idea that there's more to us than we realize, and we can tap into that deeper understanding.
Absolutely. And the source goes on to say that consciousness operates at a certain vibration or frequency. And here's where it gets wild. This frequency can influence the timeline we experience.
Hold on, are we talking time travel here?
Not exactly. Think of vibration and frequency more as metaphors for our energetic state, our thoughts, emotions, how aware we are. The idea is that by raising this vibration through healing, through love, through getting ourselves in alignment, we can shift our experience of reality towards more harmony. Like tuning an instrument, a small adjustment can make a huge difference.
So you're saying we can actually influence our reality by changing our internal state?
It's a powerful idea, right? And here's another one. The source emphasizes the power of the human mind. It even calls it a quantum realm. and says that our thoughts, our imagination, our intentions, they actually shape our reality.
I've heard that before, the power of positive thinking and all that.
Right. But this goes beyond just thinking positive. It's about recognizing the immense potential of our minds and understanding that we might only be using a fraction of that potential because of limiting beliefs.
Okay, so we've got interconnectedness, we've got the power of the mind. What about spiritual awakening? I know that's a big part of these sources.
Yeah, good point. Reality, consciousness, describes spiritual awakening as an expansion of consciousness. It's about connecting with our higher selves with the universe.
And how do we do that?
The source specifically mentions mindfulness and meditation, not just for relaxation, but as practices for quieting our minds and accessing deeper levels of awareness.
Okay, that makes sense. And this idea of expanding awareness reminds me of something from one of the Carnage 1-Only videos, the light body.
Oh yeah, the light body. That video is pretty cool.
Passed down the
basically
hands
the
of
subtle
archives
energy
through
body that
archives,
exists
knowledge that they
alongside our
drown out and
physical body.
starve
And the
us.
idea is
But
that
our
by
thoughts
becoming
can't be
aware of
taught
this
by another man that's garbage. The mirror turned
expand
into
our consciousness
mirages.
even further, connect with
Made
our
a
higher
moron
self.
out of a
It's not
man
about
that made no
escaping the
morals,
physical
making
world,
money
it's about
ever since in a
experiencing it
trance.
on a deeper
Lost since our
Exactly, like having another sense that allows us to perceive things we normally wouldn't. And the video lists some pretty incredible potential benefits. Increased creativity, more emotional flow, heightened awareness of subtle energies, even a deeper connection to our soul and the universe.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
It is. But the video makes it clear that this is seen as a complementary practice, not a replacement for other approaches.
Right, like another tool in the toolbox. And speaking of tools, there was something about light codes in that video. What were those again?
Yeah, light codes. Think of them as energetic patterns or frequencies that interact with our own energy field. It's like these frequencies can resonate with us and trigger shifts in our vibration, leading to emotional healing, more clarity, a renewed sense of purpose.
So it's all about energy and vibrations influencing each other.
Exactly. And this whole theme of spiritual connection and guidance is reinforced by the emphasis on cultivating a relationship with a higher power.
Yeah, that came up in one of the other Carnage Only videos, the importance of prayer and scripture.
Right. So we've gone from understanding interconnectedness and the power of the mind to actively engaging in practices that can facilitate spiritual awakening.
Okay, I'm following so far, but where do we go from here?
Well, how about this? We're not just observers of reality, we're also creators of it. That's a pretty powerful idea, right?
Whoa, hold on. You're saying we have the power to shape our own reality.
That's what this reality consciousness source suggests. By becoming more aware of our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, we can move from just reacting to life to actively shaping it.
So it's about taking control, recognizing that we have agency.
Exactly. And this connects with Neville Goddard's teachings, which emphasize the power of imagination and faith in shaping reality.
Yeah, Goddard, I've heard of him. He believed that what we vividly imagine and truly believe tends to become our reality.
Right. And the sources also bring in Alan Watts' perspective. He said that unhappiness often comes from our thoughts about situations, not the situations themselves.
That's a good reminder to pay attention to our own internal dialogue.
Absolutely. And one of the Carnage 1-Only transcripts even talks about the divine creator that resides within each of us. It's not just about shaping our reality, it's about recognizing our inherent creative power.
Okay, so we're creators, not just observers. Now what?
Now let's talk about transformation and healing. Reality consciousness uses this powerful image of alchemy, turning lead into gold, to describe the potential for inner transformation.
Lead into gold, that's a pretty cool metaphor.
It is. It represents the idea that even our weaknesses, or what we perceive as limitations, can be transformed into strengths, into greater understanding.
So it's about turning our challenges into opportunities for growth.
Exactly. And that theme of embracing struggles as catalysts for personal and spiritual growth comes up in both the essay and one of the Carnage 1-Only videos. It's like the tough times we go through aren't just obstacles, they're essential for our evolution.
Yeah, I've heard that said before, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But it's more than just getting stronger, right?
It's about deeper learning, about coming out on the other side with a new perspective. And one of the excerpts even mentions the wounded healer, this idea that our own struggles can become a source of empathy and guidance for others.
Oh, our pain can actually help others heal.
That's the idea. And it's interesting that several of the sources highlight artistic expression as a way to heal and process difficult emotions.
Oh yeah, like channeling your experiences into something creative.
Exactly. It's a way to externalize those inner experiences, to turn pain into something beautiful, something that can resonate with others. And speaking of connecting with others, let's talk about the importance of community in unity.
Yeah, that came up a lot in the 1nOnly material.
It did. It seems like connection and support are really essential. And some of the transcripts even talk about collaborative art as a tool for social change.
So art can bring people together and create positive change in the world.
That's the idea. And there's this really compelling vision presented in one of the excerpts. Unity based on a shared understanding of self and the energetic bond that connects us all.
So recognizing that we're all part of something bigger, something that unites us beyond our differences.
Exactly. And one of the transcripts suggests that this understanding of a fundamental source energy has been misinterpreted or used to create division. It's about finding common ground in that underlying connection to move towards greater unity.
So celebrating our individual uniqueness while acknowledging that we're all interconnected.
That's it. And there's some pretty out there ideas in the sources too, like the memory of water.
The memory of water, what's that about?
It's this idea that water can actually retain information and be influenced by vibrations, including sound waves. It's still being explored, but it's pretty fascinating to think about.
So you're saying our intentions and the environment can affect something as basic as water.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And this leads to the exploration of sound waves and their potential for healing and expanding awareness. Like sound isn't just something we hear, it can have deeper energetic effects on us.
So we could potentially use sound to influence our well-being.
It's a possibility that's being explored. And ultimately, the sources emphasize that life is a journey of learning and evolution. It's about self-discovery, authenticity, and embracing the interconnectedness of all things.
Yeah, it's like a continuous process of growth and understanding.
Exactly. And one of the sources even mentions a collective timeline upgrade towards a more heart-centered reality. It's this idea that our individual choices, based on love, truth, and courage, can contribute to a positive shift in collective consciousness.
So we all have a part to play in shaping the future, even with our seemingly small choices.
That's the idea. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we've explored some pretty mind-blowing concepts. The interconnectedness of everything, the power of our minds, spiritual awakening, the importance of community, and even the potential for transformation and healing.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But the main takeaway is this. You have the power to be an active creator in your own life. You're not just a passenger, you're the driver.
And that brings us to a final thought for you to ponder. Knowing all of this, what small shift in your perspective or your daily life could create the biggest positive ripple effect, both for you and the world around you? Keep exploring these ideas and see where they lead you.
And that's another deep dive complete. Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.